Welcome to this explainer. Look, if you're buying gold or silver online, you already know the drill. The market is just flooded with flashy ads, aggressive sales tactics, and wildly conflicting reviews. It can be incredibly difficult to know who you can actually trust with your hard-earned money. And that is exactly why we're here today. We're going to act as your honest broker. We are stripping away all the marketing noise to give you a 100% unfiltered, honest review of the precious metals dealer BGASC. We're going to look strictly at the facts, the data, and actual customer experiences to see if this is a reliable place for you to build your portfolio. All right, let's dive into this.
So here's our agenda for today's explainer. First, what is BGASC? 2, products, pricing, and IRAs. 3, shipping and support. 4, complaints and the fine print. And 5, our final verdict.
All right, Section 1. What is BGSS? Let's start by establishing exactly who we're talking about here. Founded back in 2009 in California, BGASC, which literally stands for Buy Gold and Silver Corp, by the way, they don't operate in a vacuum. They are actually part of a massive, vertically integrated corporate ecosystem backed by industry giants like A-Mark Precious Metals. Now, A-Mark is a publicly traded powerhouse. They own mints, logistics centers, massive retail dealers, the whole shebang. So when you buy from BGASC, you aren't just dealing with a little mom-and-pop coin shop. You are interacting with a highly integrated global supply chain, and that gives them immense purchasing power and inventory stability, which, as we're going to see, directly impacts the prices they can offer you.
Moving on to Section 2, products, pricing, and IRAs. When you look at their catalog, you'll notice pretty quickly that while some dealers get super bogged down in highly collectible or rare numismatic coins, BGASC's real bread and butter is their consistent stock and highly competitive pricing on international sovereign bullion. It is a prime spot if you're looking to accumulate recognizable, foreign government-minted coins, like if you're hunting for South African Krugerrands, Austrian Philharmonics, or Canadian Maple Leafs. BGASC often has these sitting right there in stock, even when other major US-based dealers are completely sold out. It's a highly efficient way to stack ounces without paying those massive premiums you usually see on American Eagles.
Another major positive is how you actually pay for the metal. They offer incredible payment flexibility, and there are absolutely zero minimum purchase requirements. That's fantastic if you just want to grab a single silver coin to start. But here's the real kicker, the rewarding discounts. If you pay using cryptocurrency, you get a 3% discount. And if you go old school with a paper check or a bank wire, you get a 4% cash discount compared to using a credit card. For serious investors trying to keep their cost per ounce as close to spot price as possible, this is a massive factor.
And you know, this competitive pricing model definitely hasn't gone unnoticed. You look around YouTube or financial forums, and glowing reviews frequently praise their low premiums. One prominent reviewer even noted that when comparing 4 or 5 different bullion sites, BGASC has the lowest prices 90% of the time. Because they aren't blowing millions of dollars on flashy marketing, celebrity endorsements, or massive educational hubs, they run a really lean operation. And it genuinely seems like they pass a lot of those operational savings straight back to you through lower premiums.
Beyond just shipping coins to your house, they also offer a streamlined service to help you roll your physical metal purchases into a precious metals IRA. So if you're looking to diversify your retirement portfolio with physical assets instead of just paper stocks, they have a dedicated team to help walk you through all that IRS compliance and setup. And let's be honest, that paperwork can be a massive headache if you're trying to do it on your own.
All right, Section 3, shipping and customer service.
Look, having rock-bottom prices doesn't matter if you can't get the metal safely to your front door, right? Well, to sweeten the deal, BGASC offers free, fully insured shipping on any order over $199. They use standard carriers, they give you tracking, and everything is shipped in discreet packaging so your neighbors have absolutely no idea you're receiving high-value metals. And hitting that $199 threshold is super easy. It's basically a given if you're buying gold, and just takes a handful of coins if you're buying silver.
Now, if you are looking to liquidate your holdings down the road, they run a very straightforward 4-step buyback program. You just call them for a quote, lock in your prices based on the current market, ship your items, and get paid. They buy metals at wholesale bid prices, which is great because it adds this crucial layer of flexibility to your strategy. You basically have a built-in buyer ready to go when you decide it's time to sell.
On the surface, their reputation for handling all this is pretty stellar. They boast an A+ rating from the Better Business Bureau and hold a really impressive 4.6 out of 5 stars on Trustpilot from over 8,000 reviews. The vast majority of those reviews praise the smooth transactions, fast delivery, and helpful reps. But, like we promised at the start, We're not just going to stop at the shiny surface.
Which brings us to Section 4, Complaints and the Fine Print. Let's get into the gritty reality.
It is time to peel back those glowing ratings. Contrast those high Trustpilot scores with this really sharp critique we found on Reddit. A buyer claimed they bought a kilo of silver and some coins at $50 an ounce. The site said in stock. But right after the purchase, BGASC emailed them claiming an inventory error and delayed the shipping. Well, when the price of silver suddenly spiked to $80 an ounce, the buyer claims BGASC just tried to refund their original purchase price rather than honoring the transaction and actually providing the metal they bought. The buyer warned others to stay away, feeling like they'd been scammed out of their market gains. Now, we aren't saying this is a widespread scam, but it absolutely highlights a critical risk when you're buying in highly volatile markets.
If you dig into those Trustpilot reviews, you'll also uncover some major logistical headaches hidden beneath that 4.6-star average. Because they ship high-value items, their insurance policies require a direct signature, which, okay, that's standard. But they heavily utilize FedEx for weekday deliveries, and crucially, their insurance strictly forbids FedEx from holding the package at a local facility for you to pick up. One reviewer complained they had to take a whole day off work just to wait by the door, because there is literally nothing worse than burning a hard-earned vacation day to sit on your couch waiting for a delivery driver. This rigid policy is a massive point of frustration for working professionals.
Furthermore, deep dives into the BBB files show that when a shipment actually does get lost by the carrier, users can get trapped in agonizingly slow claims processes. One detailed complaint showed a package lost in transit for over a month. When the customer called for help, they just got generic customer service responses, were told to wait for investigations, and faced incredibly long delays. The issue was eventually resolved, sure, but that lack of proactive communication during a super stressful, high-dollar loss is a definite weakness in their support infrastructure.
We also need to magnify the fine print on their website, specifically their market loss policy. If you change your mind, need to cancel, or even if you return an item within their short 5-day window, you get hit with a flat $35 cancellation fee. But it gets worse. You're also responsible for any market loss charges, meaning if the price of gold drops between the time you ordered and the time you canceled, you have to pay BGASC that difference out of your own pocket. It's incredibly restrictive and leaves literally zero room for buyer's remorse.
All right, Section 5, the final verdict.
Taking all those glowing promises and the gritty fine print into account, here's our honest take. BGASC is a legitimate, highly functional dealer, but it's a bare-bones, utilitarian platform. It is a fantastic choice for experienced buyers who know exactly what they want, price shoppers hunting for cheap Krugerrands, and folks totally comfortable navigating strict terms and conditions. However, if you are a beginner looking for educational resources, or if you're an IRA investor who needs a lot of hand-holding and premium white glove service through complex paperwork, you should probably look elsewhere. They will get the job done, but definitely without any frills.
And this leaves us with one really critical question for you. How do you plan to safely navigate this whole ecosystem to secure your retirement? With so many pitfalls, rigid insurance policies, and hidden cancellation fees out there, you simply cannot afford to go in blind. So, to make sure you're making the absolute safest, most informed choices for your financial future, we highly recommend grabbing the free Gold IRA guide linked in the description below, or just visiting goldirablueprint.com. It's an incredibly valuable resource to ensure you are protecting your wealth the right way, because in the world of precious metals, what you don't know absolutely will cost you. Thanks for joining us for this explainer, and stay informed.